Hi, so in this video, I'm going to show you how a photography website should look if you want bookings. Now, the problem is that most photographers out there, quite honestly, their websites suck. Who am I to say that? Well, I'm Sava from Weblingo. I'm the head of marketing, and we have over 150 grand in attributed results in the last 5 months. We've developed the S2C stranger to client marketing system for photographers, and we've had many clients, good case studies, and yeah, we pretty much know what we're doing when it comes to marketing of creative businesses as well as photography businesses. So let's get started. A photography website should have a single purpose, and that's to get bookings. And it's not a portfolio website. It's supposed to tell the visitor the next step that they should take. The next step is either to take a call or to do a booking. Most photographers really think they have a traffic problem. They think not enough people are visiting their website. But the problem lies in the website. It's in the conversion step of our S2C system. The conversion step is where a stranger converts. They're interested in the services. And most websites, they don't really do that. They're pretty confusing. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can make a website that's better than any other photographer, and how we personally build websites for our own clients that get them 5 times more bookings than their competitors. So we worked with a branding photographer, Brand Pro Photography, and she had a problem. So she was getting a good amount of attention, traffic from interested people, but she wasn't getting enough bookings. And the reason why pretty much every photographer isn't getting bookings despite getting a ton of attention. They're confusing the visitor. So what we did is we used our 3-zone architecture to get her 8 to 12 qualified inquiries per month. And we didn't even change her traffic sources. We didn't tell her to do ads. We just changed the website. So we used the 3-zone architecture. So the zone 1 is the filter. So the purpose of the filter is to qualify visitors in the first 5 seconds. So what goes on in here is an outcome-focused headline, a sub-headline with the mechanism/promise. And what that basically means here is, if you look in the screenshot, headshot and branding photography that gets you noticed online. So this is the headline. The sub-headline is this: the method behind getting anyone to trust you and to see your potential. So this has the promise/mechanism. People, when they first land on the website, they're curious. How do you get anyone to trust you online, and let alone see my potential? Like that's what the visitor is thinking. Now, the next thing that goes on in this filter are years of experience, delivery speed, guarantee/risk reversal. So these are shown here in the website: 100% money back guarantee, 24-hour delivery, and over 20 years of experience. Now, even if you have like 5 years of experience, that's enough to put as your credibility. Even if you're just starting out, you can frame it in a way that sells. And then above the fold, that's the first testimonial. And above the fold section is this. Like it depends how big the screen is, but here, this is the first testimonial. And you can see the way it's set up, it's very outcome oriented. And most importantly, in the above the fold section is the VSL. It builds trust and authority before they read. It's placed under the headline, and it's a 2 to 5 to 7 minute video that sells before they scroll down to the website, like to the remainder of the website. And the VSL is super important. Now here you could see that Elena made a VSL addressing all the objections, all the questions, and it's super transformative. It's pretty good stuff, scripted by us personally. So this works because wrong visitors immediately leave while the right ones keep scrolling. The zone 1, the filter, it filters out the bad quality clients, and the high quality traffic stays. So anyways, zone 2, that's the sell. The purpose of this is to build desire through the problem solution proof loop. Now here's the structure. You should repeat it 2 to 3 times. First one is a problem call out. It's a question that targets their pain. Then you want to agitate it. This is the problem agitation. You want to make them feel the cost of not having your service. Then you have the solution presentation. Show what you do differently, frame outcomes and not features, and then you add some slight social proof. This is the solution. Then you explain it in 3 to 4 steps. It should be an overview of how working with you is super easy and luxury. Here it's shown step 1, book your session. Step 2, consult. Step 3 is the photo shoot. And then right below that is the call to action. So it's like 3 to 4 steps that explain to the potential client how nice it is to work with you. And then afterwards, you do the outcome bullets. These are 5 to 7 specific results to get. For example, working with me will help you get hired. All right. And then most important here is the social proof. You should include a testimonial or something that proves that you're legit between each section. Include the client's name and the client's business, and add the results and outcomes that they got. So in Alina's website, for example, boom, testimonial, here, testimonial. Like they're constantly reminded, okay, this is another version of a testimonial. A bunch of companies, more testimonials. These are 4 testimonials and like purely outcome based. So you see here, does your headshot stop the scroll? Are you tired of blending in with your crowd and competitors? Working with me will help you create the perfect first impression, improve your online presence, get people to trust you, stand out from the crowd, stop the scroll. Look, we practice what we preach here. This is a full breakdown of how we built this client, the perfect website that gets her 8 to 12 inquiries a month. All right, the third zone, the last one, is the close. The purpose of it is to remove friction and make booking or the consultation the obvious next step. So what goes here? First of all, that's the package presentation. You should include a maximum of 2 to 3 options. This is really important because if you confuse them, you lose them. Clear deliverables, visible pricing, and a timeline clearly stated. You should include a risk reversal, like a money back guarantee or no penalty rescheduling, or really whatever removes the risk, do that, okay? Single CTA destination. You should get the visitor to make only one action. Use book your session / consultation instead of contact me. You shouldn't have any competing CTAs. All of them should lead down to the same booking. This is how we built this for Brand Pro Photography. And let me explain why one CTA. So multiple options create decision fatigue. One path is higher conversion because they literally have no other choice but to click to book, or they can just leave. But most photography websites, they have a million different buttons leading down to different paths and like a bunch of unnecessary stuff. And that adds so much confusion, that adds so much friction, and people just end up leaving at a much higher rate than compared to Brand Pro Photography's website with this 3-zone framework. So that's basically how this architecture works. Now, there are a few key architectural principles. The first one is portfolio placement. Put your portfolio after the sell sections. By the time they scroll to it, they're already sold. This just confirms the decision. It doesn't make it. Now, if you look at Brand Pro Photography's website, the portfolio isn't even shown here, but it's a separate page. And you can see here a gallery of beautiful photos. So the portfolio shouldn't be the center thing that they look at. They're constantly reminded of the results already with the social proof that you show. Because you're a photographer, you have an advantage. You can put the photo that you made for your client right next to the testimonial. That does so much better at selling the potential client than just purely a full gallery of portfolio images. Testimonial stacking, that's another thing that's really important. You should place testimonials between every major section. Use real names and businesses and focus on results, not like she was nice. Again, back to Brand Pro Photography. Look, Alina's communication was excellent. She cared very much about my vision. Now look, when a potential client is landing on the website, they see this and they have a vision as well. And they just read, Alina's communication was excellent and she cared about the vision. So the client, the potential client, the visitor, sees it, is fully convinced that Alina has helped other clients just like her. And if that doesn't do enough convincing, boom, another one. She delivered to me the same day that we did the shoot. Now, what does this say? Let's say the client really cares about punctuality. They need the photos fast. They read this, there you go. Like, this is exactly what they want. And testimonials are better than any sales text that you can create because it's straight from the clients, themselves. Okay, now the headline formula. You have two ways to go about this. You have the service type and then the specific audience plus the outcome. So here, headshot photography that gets you noticed online. Now this is service type and outcome they want. This is the other way that you can write your headlines. But the thing is, you never use generic emotional language because every photographer on earth is using generic emotional language. You want to stand apart from the crowd. You want to look like the best choice out of everyone local to you. The next thing is objection handling. Handle top 3 to 5 objections before they scroll. Use credibility badges, guarantees, and social proof. And answer the questions. Is this for me? Can I trust them? What if it's bad? How much and how fast? And lastly, you need to have a clear pricing strategy. If you take all applicants, you need to show clear starting prices. You should remove mystery, and that way you remove friction. If you're application only, you should show the starting investment with a qualifier. For example, investment starts at $8,000. Apply to see if you qualify. Now let's do some conversion math. The standard portfolio site, probably one that you have right now. You have 100 visitors. Then out of those 100, 80 of them bounce because there's no clear value proposition. Then 18 of them browse the portfolio and they leave because nothing is separating you from the other photographers. The photos, they all look the same to the clients. Maybe you have a slightly better aesthetic or your competitors have a better aesthetic, but most clients, the portfolio isn't really that important. That does sound a bit weird, but even the clients themselves, they can just say, okay, you had the better portfolio, but subconsciously they were convinced through other measures. And the 3 zones is part of them. Maybe you're not directly using them, but you're using some elements. So if you apply those 3 zones to your website, your conversion rates will skyrocket. Anyways, out of those 100 visitors, 80 bounce, 18 browse the portfolio and leave, 2 maybe inquire. And out of those 2 inquiries, 1 or 2 of them become actual bookings. Now, conversion focus structure, like in Alina's website, she gets 100 visitors. 70 self-select out at the filter, which is good because you don't want to work with everyone. You want to work with only the people who are the perfect clients for you. You don't want tire kickers. You don't want people who can't afford your services. Then 30 qualified visitors continue. 12 make it to the packages section. 8 to 10 book or inquire because there's constantly buttons to book a call. And then out of those 8 to 10, 4 to 5 of them turn into actual bookings if you use the same percentages. Now, it's the same traffic, different architecture, but 4 to 5 times higher booking rates. Now, imagine how much more money will you make if you booked 4 to 5 times more clients than you already do. These are all rough numbers, and you might not get 4 to 5 times as many clients with this new system. But I can guarantee you that if you do everything else right, if you put in the work, if you make sure your website is conversion oriented, conversion focused, you will get more bookings. Now, there are a few common mistakes to avoid. The first one is leading with your portfolio. And the reason that doesn't work is because they're not sold yet. They just see your photos and that's it. Like they either like them or they don't. Nothing else sells them. That's kind of a weak thing to rely on, especially in today's market. With competition at an all-time high, you need something that will separate you. And this goes hand in hand with the About Me section being at the very top of the website. They don't care about your journey yet because they don't know how you can help them. Every successful marketer leads with how they can help the client, the customer. And then to build authority, they talk about themselves. They don't talk about themselves first because no one really cares. The next mistake is, I see this so often, are generic headlines. And these headlines don't filter, they don't qualify. They're just a placeholder text. You can go into ChatGPT right now, say, write me the website copy for a photography website. And I can guarantee you that the text will be on par with what 99.9% of photographers have currently on their website. Now, that's not to say AI is bad, but this is such a general, broad prompt that it gives the most generic answer possible. And every single photographer that I've spoken to, before we've worked with them, they've had this generic text plastered across their website. And the website is much more important than you think. It's what actually converts clients, right? The next mistake are multiple different CTAs. This creates decision paralysis, analysis paralysis, whatever you want to call it. People don't know what action to take. You want to guide them to the next clear step. The next mistake to avoid is hidden pricing. It adds friction unless you're application only. But for most photographers, keeping your pricing transparent, or at least making a starting from price, that's going to make your conversion rates skyrocket. The next mistake is really subtle, but it's talking about features instead of the outcomes, instead of the benefits, because they don't care what camera you shoot with or how long you spent editing every photo. They care about the benefits, the outcomes that they get. So start talking in outcome-oriented language rather than featured. Again, if you look at every good advertisement, they're talking about the end result, the outcome, what the client get. And you need to know what your client actually wants. And the next mistake is testimonials only at the bottom. You've seen so far how important testimonials are. And it's social proof that convinces your future clients that other people have worked with you and other people like them have worked with you and they've gotten good results. So stack those testimonials throughout the website, make them featured everywhere. Trust me, it's not too much. And it's a subconscious affirmation that you're the photographer they should go with. So let me end this off. It's not about being salesy. It's about making the decision process clear for your visitor on what you offer. Because these people are looking for what you have to offer. Structure removes this friction and clarity increases the conversion. You want to make sure those two things are as perfect as they can be. The goal is the right person to land on your site. They immediately know it's for them. They understand what you have to deliver, and they have a clear path to book. That's conversion architecture. And that's the stranger to client system. Now, if you want a larger macro scale view of how we implement the S2C system for our clients, download the first link in the description. It's the S2C roadmap. It walks you through the 4 steps of turning a stranger into a client. Watch this video, rewatch it, and take a look at how we built Alina's website, because this is the perfect example of what a photography website should do. And we did this pretty quickly, honestly. It didn't even cost her a crazy amount because the amount she made in return has been so much more than what she paid for it. And a big contributor to the fact that she was getting all these contracts is a very professional looking website that tells the potential client exactly what it is that she does. Like ultimately, everyone that you talk to, everyone that you want to be your client, you're leading them to your website. At least that's what you should do. If you're sending out outreach emails, now we've made a video on how you can do marketing as a photographer and all the strategies that work. All of those traffic sources, all of those ways of getting attention, they all lead into the website. Now, if you're interested in how 2026 and onwards you can market your photography business, you should watch the video in the description. It's the 2026 photography marketing guide, and it's the way that you should get clients at the end of 2025 and beyond. Anyways, all of this traffic lands on your website, and that's how important the website is. So review this framework and apply conversion architecture. If you want help building this, and don't hesitate to contact us if you want our help. We can get on a quick call or we can exchange a few messages free of charge. I can give you some pointers. Anyways, that's it for me today. Have a good one.